Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks. We talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. I have a very special guest with me today, Paul de Gelder. That sounded not Australian. I felt like that was a little bit more, I don't even know.
It was pretty close.
French.
Paul de Gelder.
Paul de Gelder. And he is the host of Shark Week and he's an author. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Cheers. And yours
Cheers.
is pretty full.
How good is this? Dirty martini, my favorite.
I wish I was having dirty martini.
Mm.
Water until the last.
Great job, Maria. Thank you.
It's nice and strong.
Delicious, yeah.
So for the people that don't know you, tell us your journey and how you got to where you are today.
It's a long journey. I grew up until I was 10. I won't like drag it out too much, but in a beautiful place called Mornington Peninsula, which is an hour and a half south of Melbourne City in Australia. And then Dad was a cop. I've got 4 younger siblings, 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. And my mum was what we would refer to as a housewife. She looked after the house and family. And then we moved when I was 10 to the capital of Australia, which is called Canberra. There wasn't a lot to do there. And so we just kind of made our own fun. And that I got bullied for a long time as well. And so when I finally got a good bunch of friends and I started kickboxing, and then I knocked out the school bully and started fighting, drinking, doing drugs, and we didn't have any money, so we were stealing.
How old were you at that time?
I'm like 15, 16.
The rebellious age.
Yeah, and then
teenagers.
Kicked out of home at 17, working in a kitchen at a very popular bar, just kind of trying to figure out what to do with my life. I knew that there was this big, amazing world out there, but I just didn't know how to be a part of it. And so I was just kind of bumbling my way through life. And I got jumped by 20 guys at a party a little bit before my 21st birthday. And I realized I had to get out of this town or I was going to be dead or in jail by the time I was 23. And so made a tough decision. A friend of mine had moved to Brisbane, which was a 12-hour drive north. And I threw everything I had, which wasn't much, into a tiny little car that I had no license for. And I drove the 12 hours to Brisbane. And he got me a job behind a bar in a strip club. And I became a rapper.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you still got bars right now?
Do I what?
Got bars? Like
No. I did it on Sway a couple of years back, and I swore I'd never do it again.
Wow.
But
Okay,
I opened up for
don't
Snoop
see
Dogg
you as a
in
rapper.
1998.
No way.
Yeah, that was like my claim to fame at that point. Opening for Snoop Dogg, 1998. I'm thinking, this is it. I'm going to be a rapper. I found my calling. Not a lot of money in white rappers in Australia in 1998, so it didn't really work out.
So, okay, wait. I'm going to stop you for a second. Like, did you feel like growing up with a father that was a cop and, was that something that you didn't take well with authority? Like, is that why you were rebellious at such a young age? And then, just being rebellious had them kick you out. And then it was just like a continued.
I think it was a lot of different things. It was getting bullied and feeling like you have no control. And then at home, having no control as well. Mum was like really overbearing. And Dad, when he was home, wasn't communicative, but he was overbearing in his presence. And so in all aspects of life, I felt like I had absolutely no control at home, at school, like anywhere. And so when I kind of did get some semblance was when I was out of the house running like crazy with my friends. And so we just took it to a really wild level.
So when you moved, how was that transition for you?
When I moved,
When you became that rapper?
It was cool. All my friends were hot strippers. I was hanging out with this cool crew. We were doing a community radio station and running hip hop nights at a really popular club. So I was having the time of my life. I was probably built like this straw, just super skinny, not making much money, not eating much food, working from 6 p.m. at night till 5 a.m. in the morning, 5 days a week. So while I wasn't thriving, I was having a good time. But after the band broke up, after maybe 2 years, I was back to working behind a bar in a restaurant, just thinking, is this
my life?
Yeah, is this it? Like, I tried, I gave everything up. I started in a new town. I did some crazy, amazing things. I really pushed myself and I failed. and I'm back to working in a bar again. And I'm like, where do I go from here?
So what was the transition to make you leave the bar life and, the strip clubs, the strippers, the fun? What made you transition?
Both my younger brothers had joined the army, and so I was getting desperate. I had never considered joining the army in my life. It wasn't until later I found out that both grandparents on both sides of the family had served in the wars. My uncle was in Vietnam, and now my two younger brothers were in the army. And so out of desperation, honestly, I called them up and said, hey, what do you think about me joining the army? And they just pissed their pants. They just laughed so hard. They're like, look, it's good. It's great. You get paid to travel. We're in artillery, so we get paid to blow shit up. You get paid to hang out with your friends. You get paid to play sport.
They didn't tell you the discipline part.
They didn't tell me any of that. But I don't mind the hard work. But I didn't realize how hard the army was going to be. But my brothers, like, the reason I decided to join was because my brothers basically both said, whatever you do, don't join the infantry. It's too hard. We know you won't make it.
And what did you do?
Next day, I joined the infantry.
So when you joined, how hard was it really for you to like be in there and like?
So hard. There was
the intensity behind it was hard, or just
like
the training, everything.
Domination of every minute of every day. And you can't escape it. There's nothing you can do. From the moment they woke us up on that first day at 5 a.m. to the sound of machine guns being fired in the hallway, to the time that they said you can go to sleep when lights are out, that every second is dominated by what they tell you can do. And I come off so many years of working in the strip club, working in the clubs, doing music, like whatever the hell I wanted. Now all of a sudden I've got 15 minutes to get up, make my bed, shit, shower, shave, and get back to the hallway, standing there at attention with my body's shaking with adrenaline. It was crazy.
Did you want to quit? Like, were you like, all right, one day in, I'm out. Like, this is too much.
I think everyone did.
Oh my gosh. So how long did you like stay and through the process of, I don't know how it works,
What I decided, so basic training was 12 weeks. What I decided was the only way I was going to get through it was if I didn't give myself a choice. And I kind of didn't have a choice anyway. I flunked out of high school, so I had no great education to fall back on. I had no work prospects. I had no home. I had nowhere to go. Everything I owned was in one suitcase, locked away somewhere else on the base. And so I decided to not give myself a choice. Look at the things that I really did enjoy or could see myself enjoying, and just get through the rest of the shit. Get through the marching on the parade ground, get through the being yelled at, but enjoy throwing grenades and shooting machine guns.
When did it get to that point of it? Like after the 12
early.
weeks?
Like it was hard. We were shooting machine guns and throwing grenades pretty early. But it wasn't until you go to infantry school after that when you're really hammering rounds down range, and they're actually teaching you to shoot really well. And then after infantry training, you go off to the battalion that they want to send you to. And so I got sent off to the airborne battalion. So now I'm parachuting with a machine gun. Middle of the night, 100-pound packs attached to you. You can't see anything. Getting down there, hiking for days, shooting machine. Like it was so fun. But there's only so long that I think some people that are high achievers, and even though I didn't really achieve much at that point, I do think that I am a high achiever. I expect more of myself. There's only so long that you want to be dirty and smelly and in the bush doing the same exercises over and over and over every year. And so I got bored.
How long did that last? Like year-wise when you were in the Army?
I got to the battalion at the start of 2001. And I changed over to the Navy clearance divers mid-2005. So it was about three and a half years where I did enjoy, I deployed with the United Nations as a peacekeeper. I did some really cool stuff, but
you were tired of being dirty.
I just wanted to do something special. I wanted to do something in my industry that other people looked up to. I didn't really want to go special forces because in Australia we have the SAS and the commandos, and it's basically, and the next level to what I was doing, but it's still being dirty and smelly in the bush and you're getting yelled at for another 6 months to a year. I wanted something totally different. And so I thought I'll go from the skies to the ocean. And I tried out for what's called clearance divers. And the clearance divers have many roles. It's similar to the SEALs, but not exactly the same. We do maritime tactical operations, so Black Hawk helicopters, fast roping down onto a moving boat to do raids, things like that. We do underwater bomb disposal, land-based bomb disposal.
That sounds so much fun.
It's so much fun. Blowing stuff up everywhere is fun, whether it's underwater or on land.
Right.
And then we do the tools as well, so giant chainsaws, diamond tip chainsaws that can cut through concrete. This equipment called the ultra-thermic Broco cutting gun that can burn at 5,000 degrees underwater and can cut almost anything.
How long is the training for something like that?
Selection is 10 days. It's like the Bud's Hell Week with SEAL. So that's like, that's the hard, it's 10 days and non-stop. Wake you up at 10 p.m. to swim across Sydney Harbour. Is that all
physical stuff, though?
It's mostly all physical. Mind games, swimming through the harbour in the middle of the night for 6 hours, running half marathons, boom, 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 boom.
Swimming for 6 hours straight, non-stop.
Yeah. So that's the first step, is getting your ship's diver's qualification. That was 3 weeks, learning to scuba dive and search the hulls of ships and the seabed for bombs and mines, which is pretty steep learning curve, having never scuba dived in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I passed by the skin of my teeth. The physical stuff was always easy for me, but I don't have a great retention of knowledge. And so that was always the hard bit for me. There's a really great movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro called Men of Honor. Mm-hmm. And that actually kind of was my driving force to get through that, because Cuba Gooding's his character had the same problem, trying to retain the knowledge. Right. But then also, what funnily enough happened at the end of that movie, he lost his leg as well. And he had to prove himself to get back into the Navy, just like I did. So it kind of helped me before I joined the Navy, and then at the end of my career as well, which was amazing.
So 2009 is when you had the shark attack. How did that situation happen? When, where, why, how? What did you do to try to prevent the situation? I'm sure you was trained to deal with any type of obstacles in the ocean, I'm sure that was part of the training. So how did that kind of I feel like we never think something like that is going to happen to us. So how did you kind of go through and endure that situation?
Of all of the, after the selection and the ship's divers, and the 47 weeks of continuous training, they really didn't teach you how to deal with sharks.
No.
No. So every dive, before we go in the water, we have this whiteboard and we have everything listed out that we need to do, the missions, the objectives, the details. And one section says DMA, dangerous marine animals. And the only thing it says under it is, if you encounter a dangerous marine animal, exercise caution. That was it.
I mean, you didn't know to move the nose away, or you had no knowledge.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. An eel, a stingray, no idea at all. My two biggest fears in life were sharks and public speaking. And now I'm a shark diving public speaker.
I'm still in mind blown that they would not teach you anything about an environment that you're going to be in as a stranger to the environment, and not have to not know anything about the objects around you besides looking for
the bombs,
the bombs inside of the ocean in the boats.
Well, the thing is, I don't think anyone else that was teaching us knew how to do it or had been taught either. And 99% of the time where we're diving, you can't see your hand in front of your face. So you're not going to be able to see anything anyway. If it gets you, it's going to get you. No one had been attacked in Sydney Harbour, where I got attacked, in 50 years. No clearance diver had ever been attacked as far as I'm aware. And so it wasn't really something that we even concerned ourselves with. We were more concerned about having a cerebral arterial gas embolism, which is a nitrogen bubble expanding in your brain from diving too long, coming up too quick, or, explosives underwater, or the, mixed gas diving rebreather sets trying to kill you, which they often did.
Everything was like precaution to other things
Everything
outside
else,
of like marine animals.
Yeah, everything else was more dangerous.
Wow.
Because those things had actually happened. And so when it did happen, and so what I was doing was I was swimming on the surface. Me and 3 of my teammates were doing a counter-terrorism exercise. And so the R&D department of the military was testing this new equipment. They put it up onto the wharf and they had this thing pointed at the water. They had a automated video and an automated sonar. So the sonar was built to detect anything moving underwater, and the automated video would detect surface activity. And so we were going through 3 stages: surface swimming, scuba diving, and then rebreather scuba diving.
So this is all through training.
This
is
all
the process of training when this happened.
Yes, yeah. This is just working as we're pretending to be the attack swimmers, and the R&D department are using this equipment to see if it works, trying to detect us. And I had my new guy in the water for about 30 minutes, and I thought, I'll give him a break. We've been there for about an hour. It's 7:00 in the morning, and it's in Sydney Harbour. It's right alongside the Navy base. All our warships are berthed there, and I use the term warship lightly because our ships are very, very small compared to America's ships. They look like little tugboats. And so we've worked here for decades. This is where we train to search the warships.
So you know the waters. You
Yeah.
thought you knew the waters.
Yeah, but you can't.
This
is about how far you can see,
Right.
maybe a couple of feet if you're lucky. And so we just trust that we're going to be fine. And so I pull the new guy out of the water, tell him I'll take over. I jump over the edge of the little black inflatable Zodiac we have. I have a wetsuit on and a pair of fins. And I'm just on the surface, kicking my legs, heading that way, just, And I'm thinking, so wonder what I do if a shark attacks me.
You were thinking it.
Yeah, because I thought about it every time I got in the water because I was so scared of them. And I knew enough. I'd watched Discovery Channel. I'd watched Shark Week. I've watched David Attenborough and Steve Irwin and all that stuff. I know that most shark attacks happen on the surface, and most of the time we're under the water.
Do you feel like you spoke it into existence?
Did I manifest it? It has been brought up in the past. And the funny thing is, all the guys at work were like, out of everyone that had to get attacked, it had to be Paul. They used to put pictures of great whites on my locker to freak me out because they knew I was terrified of sharks. And then all of a sudden, I get this whack in my leg. I turn around, I look down.
Was it because you were flipping?
Yeah, all dressed in black, flippers, looking like a seal on the surface.
Wow.
So this shark came up and grabbed me by my hand and the back of my right leg all in one bite. And I was looking in the other direction, making sure I was still headed towards the warship. And I just feel this pressure, no pain.
So when you felt the little push, you didn't think nothing of it?
No, I thought maybe it was a log, or the guys in the boat got a little bit too close and I couldn't hear him because I had water in my ears. Yeah, I didn't think, even though I did think of sharks every time, I kind of that's not going to happen. It's never happened before.
So you kept kind of moving your fins when you felt the push.
No, when it grabbed me, I felt pressure, and I instantly turned around like that and looked down, and I could see the massive shark's head right there. And so it took what felt like a couple of seconds for my brain to actually process what I was seeing, because I'd never even seen a big dangerous shark in real life, and all of a sudden it's there.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, and then I'm like, all right, I've seen Shark Week. Go for the eyeball.
Right.
But it's got my hand. And so I can see the flesh tearing on my wrist. I can see the teeth embedded into my thigh. And so I think, okay, left hand, but I can't reach the eyeball. I grab it by the nose and try to push it off. That does nothing. And then I think, okay, what's the last thing that you do, that they train you to do with a shark?
I just know to move the nose away.
Punch it in the nose. Move the nose away if it's not attacking you. If it's attacking you, punch it in
Because
the
that's where all the
nose, the
nerves are,
eye,
right?
the
Yeah.
gill. I know better now. Sharks don't really respond much to the nose stuff. I've seen them hit things pretty hard with their nose, but the eyes and the gills. But I didn't know that. I'm going to punch it in the nose.
Right.
I didn't get that far because it had decided at that point I was food and just started to shake me. And there is actual footage of the attack happening, so you can probably display it while I'm telling this story. It's on YouTube
Oof.
because it was being filmed for the Navy. They wouldn't give me the footage for like a
Of
year.
yourself, they wouldn't give you the footage of yourself?
Yeah. The boat was an inch deep in my blood when they got me to the wharf to await the paramedics. One of my teammates actually had to stick his hand inside my leg and pinch closed a little slippery squirting artery.
Oh my goodness.
The surgeon said if he didn't do that, I would have died within 30 seconds. That's how
Wow.
close to death I was. And the greatest thing that I discovered out of all of this is that death isn't scary. You know, in those last minutes, those last seconds where you're on that verge of passing over and you've accepted that you're going to die, the only thing that you think of is, and this has been backed up by nurses that have been at the bedside of
Right.
people dying, and I experienced it, the only thing you have is your regrets.
Mm.
Did I do enough? Did I make up for all the wrong I did? Have I lived a good life? Am I a good person? Those little things. And I ticked every single box. And so, you know, I made up for all the bad things I did. I'd served my country. I've served people. I protected people. I was a good person. And so I was free. And I just let go. This shark's eating me. I'm underwater. I'm drowning
Like,
at the
this
same
is my
time. I'm like,
right.
I'm ready to go. Let's go. And then the shark ripped my hamstring out of my leg and my hand off. And my wetsuit made me buoyant. So I popped to the surface, see my safety boat in the distance and think, oh, fuck, I'm not dead.
You were still able to swim to the safety
Yeah.
boat?
Yeah.
Insane.
So I took a stroke and I saw my hand was gone totally. And my medical training taught me I needed to keep that wound above my heart
Right.
to stem the bleeding. So I'm swimming one hand and one leg back to my safety boat through a pool of my own blood. And the guys said it was so thick they could actually taste it in the air when they got close to me.
Oh, wow.
It was a shit day at work, that one.
Oh my goodness.
But-
Like, and then when you got to the boat, what did they say? What did they do? Like, obviously call the medic right away.
Yeah, well, we're all medically trained to a degree as well. And so they pulled me into the boat. I passed out because I was just so happy about not being in the water anymore and getting eaten again. My buddy Tomo, he's a little Papua New Guinean guy, a little islander guy. He straddles me, he starts pummeling me in the chest to try and stimulate my heart because he
Right.
thinks I'm going into cardiac arrest. I wake up, I look over, my hand's gone, freshly ripped off by a shark. Tomo's beating the shit out of me, and all I can think is today sucks. And so
So you blacked
I-
completely out.
I blacked
and you
out, then
feel
they
like-
woke me up again.
So when you blacked out, that moment of, I guess, darkness, of blackness, did you feel like you're in that stage of, like, I guess, the in-between, that purgatory stage of life? Like, you know, that life or death?
No, that was when I
situation.
was in the water. I felt that. When the shark was still eating me and I was running out of air and I'm seconds away from running out of air, drowning, agony, that was when I felt that. When I got into the boat, I don't think I was unconscious long enough to actually have felt that, because as soon as I passed out, Tomo was pummeling me into the chest to try and stimulate my heart. But there was nothing wrong with my heart. I just passed out because I was so happy to
Right.
and relieved to be out of
Right,
the water.
absolutely.
And so I just woke up again. Like, why are you beating the shit out of me? I just got attacked by a shark.
So you
Um,
remembered everything.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remembered everything. And okay, so I'm curious as to what was that moment like of, I guess, that near death experience of what you went through during that process of, like, all right, this is my time. I don't know. Was your, like, body, your spirit coming out of your body? How was
No,
that
I wasn't.
moment?
I don't think I was quite there yet. I was at the point where I was totally pain-free. And I felt
Like
that.
the adrenaline.
Yeah, I guess the adrenaline had kicked in then as well. But it was kind of like I'm on the precipice of what's going to happen next. And I could feel that what was going to happen next was not scary at all. It was just the beginning of a next adventure.
More like a freeing
Yeah.
situation.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
it was exciting. Like I was thinking,
was it a fast moment? Like it was like this is a moment,
if
then
you
it
watch the
went.
footage, you'll see how quick it is. This is from the time it grabs me to the time I pop out of the water is 7 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
But it felt like eternity to me. And then but the real eternity was the recovery.
Oh man. Okay. How was the recovery? Where does it start? Like, do you start with obviously more surgeries to fix everything?
Yeah.
And then how is that process?
The hand they took care of straight away as soon as I got to the emergency department. The leg I had for a week because the shark hadn't actually removed my leg. It had just taken the hamstring and the sciatic nerve. So while I had the leg, I couldn't actually feel it. But the surgeon came in after that first week and he did exactly what I needed him to do. He didn't bullshit me, and he gave me the choice. He said, Paul, you can keep your leg, but the shark's taken your entire hamstring, your nerve. You'll never be able to feel it again.
Right.
Everything in your life will suffer. Or we can take the leg and have you walking, possibly even running on a prosthetic within 12 months. I'm so high on morphine and ketamine at the same time. I just look him dead in the face and say, Doc, take my leg and turn me into a Terminator.
Right.
Yeah, and
I would have been like, take my leg too, if it gives me the chance of walking. Because I mean, once you kind of lose that sciatic nerve, what's left?
You can't feel anything.
You can't.
No.
So it's purposeless. At least give me a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I would agree. I would have taken that. If I had a choice, that would have been my choice as well too.
It's a big emotional decision as well because it's voluntarily having a large part of your body that you rely on totally removed and then putting all of your faith in technology. And so that was pretty scary, but thank God for smart people. Prosthetic technology, it's pretty good. I'm probably never going to play the piano again, but I can hold a beer. And as an Australian, that's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Okay, tell us about the arm.
The arm is made by some very smart people, way smarter than I am. I'm very fortunate to have the best technology in the world. This is made by a company in Germany, same as my robotic leg. The hand is worth about $90,000. I'm very lucky. Veteran Affairs, the military pays for everything, so I've got 2 of these. It works through sensors on the inside of the socket. They press against the muscle in my forearm. So when I flex the top muscle, it opens. When I flex the bottom muscle, it closes. If I give it a little flick, it beeps and it goes to beer drinking group, which is essential.
How long did it take for you to learn how to program everything on your
Really easy. As simply as doing that. You just got to flex the muscle. But I've got so many different limbs for different things. I've got a weightlifting arm. I use the weightlifting arm for my parachuting. I've got 2 snowboarding legs. I've got 2 diving legs. I've got a running blade. I've got 2 of these robotic legs for just everyday use as well. The leg is worth about $200,000. Mm. So once again, thank God for the military and Veteran Affairs.
So how much do you think it costs for all these prosthetics in total?
Together?
Yes.
I think the military quoted that my first year of recovery and all my prosthetics was $2 million.
That's insane.
And that was the first year.
And the military covered everything.
Everything, yeah. Because it happened at work, so they kind of had to.
Right.
Yeah. And so my luggage gets really heavy. I've got to choose exactly what I'm doing when I go on my trips because it's either snowboarding or running. It's diving or parachuting. So it's just, yeah. And then you get to the airport and I've got all my limbs with me and the security are pulling out random legs and random hands. Everyone's standing around looking at me and like, oh, shit.
And how many years does it take to update like a prosthetic limb?
They're not updating as quickly anymore because the necessity for them from the American soldiers is what drove the R&D. That necessity is kind of waned a bit. So it's not as much getting better now, but it's becoming cheaper for everyday normal people that don't have Veteran Affairs that can cover the cost for it. So they've gone from, $90,000 to the top of the line to about $8,000.
Oh, wow.
Not as good, but pretty dang close.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
I know. It's better than not having one.
Absolutely. At least you can grab a beer.
You can grab a beer.
So with your family, like, what did they take on this after everything happened?
Everyone flew in. I woke up. I had tubes down my throat. My friends, my family are all there. Where I was in hospital was the the public and private hospital. In Australia, we have free medical, but you can pay extra if you want the really good service.
You guys
But
hear that, America? Free medical in
yeah,
Australia.
it's amazing. But the Navy hospital was shut down at that time, so all we had was like this little wing in the hospital. No waiting room, nothing like that. And I got told that every single day for weeks, there was 20, 30, 40 people standing around outside of the elevator waiting to come in to see me. And people came for days in a row from out of state, out of country, and still never got in to see me because the doctors and the nurses wouldn't let everyone in. I was allowed to see like 5 people a day. And so my buddies from the Navy would come in, they'd sneak in a beer and they'd have a beer and I'd have a shot of morphine. But while it was really hard, it was quite endearing to see that outpouring of love.
Absolutely.
And it got to the point where I would not let them see how hard I was doing it because I didn't want anyone to worry. And so we do what the military people do. We do the black humor, we do the jokes. And then at night when no one was around, I would cry myself to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Even when I went home after the hospital, phantom pains, fear, frustration, I've cried myself to sleep more nights than I can even tell you. But day by day, it gets better. You know, everything, no matter how bad something gets, it always gets better, especially if you work towards making it better yourself. And that was what I was really adamant about. I will get better. I will get stronger. I will use everything at my disposal so that I can still live a good life and I will get back to my job.
Absolutely. And I'm sure like the outpour of love and support that you had was another form of motivation to help you,
Yeah.
you know, in a positive light. Because I remember I had an infection in my leg one time and I was on 3 rotating antibiotics. And I'm like, how am I going to survive? I mean, I know it's possible, but it's like, who wants to have their leg amputated, you know? And then that's when you're praying the most. And that's when you're seeking for, you know, that guidance of what should I do? How is life going to be if this is gone? And how am I going to model? How am I going to raise my children? How am I going to, you know, be the person that I'm known to being, or how am I going to survive life without this leg, arm, or whatever it may be?
Yeah, you just said it. All of those things running through your head. How is anyone going to find me attractive again? How am I going to do my job? You know, it's absolutely terrifying, and it's hard to get rid of those thoughts. But you replace them with the positivity.
Absolutely.
The key is everything that you feed your mind. So our lives are like ChatGPT. They're like a recipe. It's like none of it is going to be good. Anything you put into ChatGPT that you want to get something out of, or anything you put into a recipe that you're going to get out of, it's not going to work if you don't put the right ingredients into it. And that is the same as our minds. If you don't put the right ingredients into it, which is that self-talk, that self-belief, not the negative stuff. You put the negative in, guess what? It becomes easier to grasp onto and hold onto that negative shit all the time. And so we have to make sure that we tell ourselves the positive things, how absolutely fucking strong we are, because we really, really are. I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in so many other people. You know, I got to go to the Marine Corps Wounded Warrior Games in San Diego in 2011 and 2012. And there was a guy there, this 30-year-old guy. He survived Iraq. He survived Afghanistan. He came home and he got a blood clot in his hips. Lost both of his legs at the hips.
Oh, wow.
4 days later, he got a blood clot in his brain and he went blind. That guy was out there competing in the 50 meters freestyle, blind with no legs.
Oh, wow.
You know, one of the guys that won a gold medal in archery didn't have any arms. They were blown off. So he shot with his mouth.
Oh, wow.
We always find a way.
Absolutely.
We are so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We just have to keep telling ourselves that and believe in it and surround ourselves in the people that will lift us up.
110%. It's definitely your environment and your own thinking, you know, and I feel like a lot of people, I guess, shun on therapy. I feel like, especially when you have traumatic situations that happen, therapy is key to helping your healing.
I think it doesn't have to be all the same therapy, though.
Absolutely. Agree.
I've not done therapy. The Navy didn't really offer it to me. and I'm not very good at asking for things. And you know what? I'm not much of a talker anyway. It might not sound like that, but
Do you feel like that's a man thing? Like, I feel like a lot of men have so much ego when it comes to going to seek help. Just help, not even therapeutical help. Well, they'll be like, I'm a man, I can do this and find out how to
do it
move
myself.
forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's a part of it. Another part is we don't, so in the military, we won't talk about it because if we do, it'll affect our career.
Right.
And we don't want to get taken off missions or courses or anything like that, so we don't talk about it. There are other avenues though. I use the gym. I use having beers with my mates. I use writing, like putting down. It was so therapeutic to write my books and get all of this stuff off my chest and get really, really deep with it. Like hold nothing back. Go really deep, really dark. Get it all out there in the world, and then embracing my other biggest fear, public speaking, and getting on stage in front of hundreds of people that I don't even know. And I will just tell this roller coaster of emotion as a story, and men are crying, women are crying. I've had 70 people pass out over the years, 70, like crazy amounts.
Just telling your
telling
story.
The story, showing some of the surgery photos.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure it's gruesome.
But while I didn't go and do therapy, I did talk. I just talked to a room of people I didn't know. And I tried to give them everything. And I think that's what helped me a lot. And so while I didn't do therapy, I see what you're saying. And I don't think that men should have that ego and that pridefulness. And I don't think it's such a huge thing anymore. I think we live in a culture now where it's been told to us so many times, and so many of the people that we might adore or look up to or whatever, even they say that. It's okay to go and talk to someone about it. It's not therapy, it's not counseling. You're just going to talk to someone.
Absolutely.
Get it out of here so that you don't have to hold the weight there. Get it out into the universe. Let the universe deal with that shit.
Absolutely. And like you said too, I completely agree with you. There's different forms of therapy. You don't necessarily have to speak to someone. You can go to the gym. You can, hang out with friends, whatever it is to help you get out of that dark place in your mind. Whatever clears your mind, I feel like is any form of therapy.
Yeah.
As long as that works for
Nature is a really big one.
Absolutely.
Getting out of the concrete jungle.
Hearing the nature is just, just hearing birds chirp and just like, okay, there's life outside of just me, is a great one to deal with. So with all of that going on, how did you have time for family? Like you're recovering and all of that stuff. You have a fiance. Like how did that take place?
That came much later. I did have a girlfriend at the time. But I was pretty selfish. I was selfish, and I focused on me most of the time. And then when it came to a time whereby I could see she wanted to move in, then she wanted to get engaged, then she wanted to get married, and then there was going to be kids. And I could see
this was through your healing.
This was through
process
this is like a couple of years. I'm back in the Navy now, and like I could see the plan for my life, and I've never been good at that. I like a certain level of uncertainty. I'm on my 37th home in 47 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm a bit of a gypsy. I know people don't like that term, but whatever. And then I moved out here 7 years ago because I got a contract with Discovery Channel.
And this is your most consistent place besides Australia.
Yeah.
7 years.
7 years. Same suburb. I live in Marina Del Rey. And
still by the water.
I can look out my window and see the water. I know that there's this giant expanse of ocean there where there are no people. I don't go in it because it's gross, but I know that there's no people there.
Do you feel like the water is still like some type of therapeutic?
Oh my God, yeah. When I'm jumping off the back of that boat and I don't know especially like I've taught Mike Tyson, I taught Will Smith, I taught Ronda Rousey, like a whole bunch of celebrities how to do it. And when I do it with them for their first time, I feel their fear, their excitement, and their anxiety, because every time I get into the water, I feel the same way. But I've learned to trust that everything's going to be okay. They don't know it's going to be okay yet, and
Right.
they're
Do
really
you feel like
scared.
you feed fear though? Like you feed the fear and then it's more like an adrenaline rush to you because it's like the unknown is there.
What I've learned to do is transform the fear and the
I
uncertainty
like that.
into a nervous excitement. It's not like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's like, holy shit, what's going to happen? You know,
Right.
crikey.
Right.
Oh, I'm about to jump in the water with great whites with no cage. I
Oh,
wonder what's going to happen.
oh my gosh. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
You don't act like food. That's what you do.
Right. Now you know. Now you know
Yeah.
what to do in that situation.
Mhm.
So when did like the hosting of Shark Week come about and like what I guess what made you want to do that after everything that you've been through?
I needed to get out of the Navy. While I did fight to get my career back, I couldn't go to the dive teams because I wasn't deployable for war. And so I had to go to the school and teach the next generation of divers, which is fine. That's what I pushed for. Turns out that I don't like teaching people to do things. I like doing it myself. And so I did it for 2.5 years, but I was looking for an avenue to get out. And I started doing a little bit of speaking, and all of a sudden I was making my 2 weeks Navy wage in 1 hour. And then
Oh,
it kept
wow.
going bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how long I'm going to be the flavor of the month. I don't know how long someone's going to want to listen to my stupid story for, but I need to be brave enough to take this big, scary next step outside of my comfort zone, leave the security of the military, and strike out and see where this is going to take me. And so I did that, and I guess certain companies heard about what I was doing. 60 Minutes had done 2 stories on me, so like this was a really huge story in Australia. There was no Navy diver had ever been attacked. Like in recent history, no one had been attacked in Sydney Harbour, so everyone kind of knew my story. And then Discovery Channel came along and asked me for an interview. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, let's go do an interview, tell my story. They did a reenactment, but the stunt guy didn't turn up. And so I was like, oh, I'll do it. And the production looked at me strangely like, what?
Yeah.
And we're in the same spot where I got attacked. And so, yeah, it's cool. I'll do it. So I jump into the water in the same spot where I got attacked with the
It
cameraman.
wasn't triggering to you
doing,
at
oh,
all?
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, but I'm trying to be the big, tough,
Right,
badass
right.
clearance diver.
Oh my God.
So I can do that. And then the next year, I get called up and they've got this show. They need someone to, something fell through. Would I be interested? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So I see a great white for the first time. I cage dive with great whites for the first time. I'm traveling around Australia and I'm getting paid. And like, this is the life. And so I had a really good time. They flew me out to do the talk show at the end of Shark Week called Shark After Dark. And they liked me on that. And then Nat Geo actually saw me, National Geographic, and they offered me my own show. But I'm very loyal, and we went to Discovery and said, this is what's happened. They're like, oh, we'll give you a better contract. And
I
so
love that.
I stayed with Disco, and I've done 11 years with them, over 30 Shark Week shows.
What was your favorite?
Oh, there's so many. Like, I've done over 30 shows. I've done shows where I'm in the middle of dinosaur country, Australia, catching crocodiles in the middle of the night. I did a show where I parachuted into the Pacific Ocean for 2 days and 2 nights with no food or water, surrounded by sharks, hand feeding tiger sharks, working with Will Smith. Like, what a great guy. Ronda Rousey, she's absolutely amazing. So I've had some, I can tell you the shit shows, but trying to pick the best one, that's impossible.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Like that's a hell of a career, hell of a journey.
I get to live my dream.
And for your dream to still be in the ocean after what happened to you, that's so traumatic, is like, I don't know if it's like genius or borderline insanity. Like, I don't know where I'm leaning towards.
I never said I was smart. But I feel like it's the Australian way.
Yeah, I love it. Get
attacked by a shark, go work with sharks.
I love it. Okay, so for everyone that comes on, we play a game of Would You Rather, so people can get to know you outside of your career and your story and your journey. And I play with you too. So
should I be worried?
I don't know. I mean, there's crazy questions. You might want to take a shot of your martini for sure, but I play with you too. So we're gonna do let's do 3 cards each. And these cards are
water.
Okay, we'll do 4 since I picked out 4.
And then I just
And then, okay, so rules of the game, because people come on here and cheat.
Oh, I don't cheat. At anything.
So it's, you can give your explanation as to why you answered the way that you answered.
Sure.
You have to answer, and then you have to answer, give your explanation, and that's it.
Okay. So, all right. So it's the would you rather sides.
Yes.
I got you. The other side is nothing. And we got, great. I get to do 4. All right.
Okay.
Who goes first?
You could go first.
Do we have paper, scissors, rock
Okay,
for
let's
it?
do it.
All right.
On 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Rock,
1, 2,
paper,
3.
scissors. Rock,
1, 2,
paper,
3.
scissors.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. You go.
Okay. Would you rather be famous for inventing I feel like I already know the answer to this one for you. Would you rather be famous for inventing a deadly new weapon or invent something that helps the world, but someone else gets the credit?
I think I'd rather help the world.
I love that.
I think it's it's just
the
too
humane thing to do.
It's too hard in the world, and we've got
Right.
enough weapons.
Absolutely. Especially a deadly one. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what if it just destroys everything in life?
It's the whole purpose of what I do, why I stopped eating meat and dairy, is because I want the world to be a better place, or at least I don't want to contribute it. I don't want to contribute to it being a worse place.
Absolutely. And the way that they butcher these animals is, that's a whole nother whole nother podcast, a whole nother day.
There's a lot of documentaries on it. So is my go?
It's on you. Yeah.
All right. Would you rather be able to detect any lie you hear, or have any lie you tell be automatically believed?
Ooh. I feel like that's almost like a superpower too.
Yeah, seriously.
So
able to detect any lie you hear, so you can tell if anyone's lying around you, or have any lie that you tell be automatically believed.
I would rather be able to detect any lie that I hear.
Really?
Absolutely. Because I'm like, okay,
you could go to the bank and say, I've got an account here, I lost my card, can you give me $1 million? I definitely have it in my account.
But
and
then,
get $1 million.
But then what if you can't sleep at night because there's like,
it's just a bank.
Like, I feel like you have to live with that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I feel like that would be heavy on my heart to be like, okay, I know that everyone believes all of my lies, but then I would rather
It'd get pretty old.
Yeah, and I feel like it wouldn't be fun. Life wouldn't be fun because you could lie.
Yeah, no,
you know?
we'd have the best sex. Just come home with me. Like it'd get boring. There'd be no challenge.
Right, at all. And then I feel like if you can detect all the lies, you can read your kids, you could read your spouse, you could read your friends, you can know when someone's like, bad in business.
And see that absolutely everyone is lying to you
all
the time.
Right. And your life is a mess anyway. So either way, you're fucked.
Oh, you got screwed, dude.
Either way. Okay. Would you rather win? Okay, let's say $50 million, or your best friend win $50 million?
How is that even a question? I will take the $50 million and then I share it with my friends.
Right, because you don't know if your friend's going to share it with
Exactly
you.
right, yeah. But it'd be boring to spend it by yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it has to be like a shared situation.
Absolutely. All right, you're up. Would you rather? This is such an Australian thing to say as well. I don't even know. Would you rather shit bricks? So that's not just like a real term. This is like shit bricks means would you rather be scared in Australian.
Okay.
Shit bricks, bro. So, but I think here it means would you actually want to shit bricks?
Actual bricks.
Yeah, or puke slugs. I feel like I know the answer.
Ooh, I feel like shitting bricks would actually hurt. Right, I'm saying, yeah, no, like puking. I hate throwing up. It's such an uncomfortable feeling, and I hate the way that your mouth smells after you throw up. Even when you brush your teeth, it's just like it's a linger. But
the other side of
I
that,
would rather
not have a cube-shaped butthole.
Yeah, and that's a big ass brick to like come out a little hole. So I would, give me the slugs. Give me the slugs. I'll take the slugs.
Slugs, throwing up slugs. You're gonna be a terrible kissing breath.
Would you rather always have to say everything on your mind, or never be able to speak again?
You have to say everything that's on your mind.
That's that, and you could just think random thoughts that might not be like
professional,
like
everything. No
or
way.
like.
I would go to the monastery and not speak again, because I think most people would agree that some of the things we think are not appropriate for even our brains to think.
But what if you just tell people like,
It's like
I have
Tourette's.
this, right. What if you just tell people like, I have this
Ooh.
disorder that just, doesn't let me hold anything that's on my mind, but I have no control over it. What
Yeah,
if that's like your
okay.
explanation as to why? Because
That
like
could
just
work.
not speaking and then
People
your
still
sign
live good
language.
life with Tourette's, and that's basically what that is, but you just jumble up everything.
Right.
Oh. Is it like the first answer accepted, or can I change?
You can change it. I would just do that.
You know
I would
what?
explain
I
like,
think
okay, guys,
I
just
think
before we have this conversation or before we meet, I'm just letting you know, don't be offended if
yeah,
I say some crazy shit
yeah.
because it might just come out.
And I think people might even appreciate the honesty
Absolutely. I agree. I just,
to a
I know
degree.
I speak so much
All right,
that
I
there's
change.
no
I'm
way
gonna
I'm
say
just
what's
going to
ever
be
on my
like,
mind. I'm changing.
I'm doing the same.
Yeah. All right. Would you rather be shit be balding but fit? How the fuck did I choose this
You
card?
would get that card.
Or be overweight with a full head of hair?
I'd
This
be
is a good
balding
question for
but
you.
fit.
Yeah.
I'd be balding but fit.
You
'Cause
seen the hot bald chicks?
listen, I have an amazing hairstylist. Shout out to Nitty. She will make sure my hair looks immaculate every time. So I could be bald with a wig or like
Yeah.
do
No, you know
something.
wigs. You can't have any
No
wigs. You got to be
wigs.
bald all the time.
Oh, we'll give it like a look. We'll make it look
There's
good.
hot bald chicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just couldn't date a bald
Absolutely.
guy because then you'd look like aliens.
No, I feel like there's good looking bald guys too. Like usually, what's crazy? Usually the bald guys always have a beard. Like I never understood like why hair didn't grow up here, but then it
I
grew
know.
here.
I know. I got to keep shaving it on the back of my neck, but it hardly grows up here.
How is that? Why is that?
I
Like, what's
don't
the
know.
science?
But that's why they take it out of your neck and then they do the implant, stick it in the top
Right,
of your
the
head
nape.
because this hair doesn't get affected by the not DMT. That's the stuff you smoke. By the other stuff, the testosterone that kills all the follicles.
Oh, wow.
For some reason, this hair around here doesn't get affected, but this hair does, which is so weird.
That's
Isn't
so
it the same hair?
strange. Yeah, you
Anyway,
would think.
all right, Baldy, you're up.
Okay, last one. Would you rather, oh, this one's good. Would you rather have the ability to reverse one decision you make every day or to freeze time for 10 seconds once a day?
Freeze time. Absolutely. I don't know how I would utilize that at this current point in time.
But you could do what you want when you're
10
freezing
seconds.
time. It's like
Yeah. It's not a lot of time.
enough to change something, though.
Yeah.
What would you do in 10
In
seconds
10
if you
seconds,
froze time?
I don't know. That's going to need some deeper thought. What could you
But
change
once a
it?
day, that's a lot. Like
Yeah.
you're freezing time like consistently every day.
You could literally change the course of the future with
Absolutely.
that amount of time if you were in the right place at the right time. You could
What if there was
make
a
yourself
situation?
look magic.
Yeah. What if there was a situation? Have you watched a 3-Body Problem on
Yeah.
Netflix?
Uh-huh.
What if there was a situation that was like life-changing to another form of life and you
Mhm.
had the ability to change that moment or alter that moment, in 10 seconds? Like, would you do it?
Yeah, I think I'd do that. Be able to freeze time for 10 seconds every day. That'd be cool. You put some real thought into it and you could come up with some great things to do.
Absolutely. Because I feel like the ability to reverse a decision, like there's so many decisions that you can reverse without having to, you just need to think better.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is just, you can do that naturally on your own.
That's like a super deep one because you could really like do some good stuff with that. But you'd have to put yourself into interesting scenarios. Like if you went to a conflict zone and you could pause time for 10 seconds, you could do some like life-saving shit.
Absolutely.
All right.
Agreed.
Would you rather, last one, would you rather, wow, geez, change sex every time you sneeze?
Okay.
That's a lot of wardrobes.
Change sex, like
So
gender?
yeah.
Every time you sneeze?
Uh-huh.
Insane.
So you go, "Sir," and it comes out.
That's insane.
You got an elephant trunk. and then, back in.
That is insane. Okay, what's the other option?
Or not be able to tell the difference between a baby and a muffin.
A baby and a muffin, like not be able to tell the difference, so you could possibly eat a baby.
Uh-huh. That sounds dangerous. Uh-huh.
Okay.
It could look like a real weirdo holding a muffin.
I am gonna do the baby and the muffin, and I'm just gonna ask someone like, "What is this in front of me?" Every time,
Okay.
a baby and a muffin.
It's gonna
comes
wear
up
a sign like Samuel
Yeah,
Jackson and
like I'm gonna go back to the first question and be like, "Okay, guys, I have this disorder that I cannot tell the difference," and just be honest. And I feel like honesty is the best policy, and I'm sticking to it.
yeah. I wonder if it includes, like, I suppose it's can't even be a fake sneeze, so
But like, okay, how often are you really sneezing though?
not that often. Well,
Yeah, I don't really sneeze that
you
much.
can probably induce sneezes by pulling out like nose hairs and things like that.
Oh, I don't know if I could just like have different sexes. Like,
Sniffing.
I
Switch
don't know
back.
if I could do that.
See, the problem is, I don't know about you, but I sneeze 3 times in a row every time.
Really?
Yeah. Always 3. So out.
So you would be like,
in, out.
but what if
in.
you don't end up with the sex that you want?
Yeah, I know. That's a problem.
Or what if you just like enjoy one more than the other and it's just like, all right, now I need to sneeze. Now I need to sneeze because I want this one over the other one.
I think I'd take the other one because then you get to experience the best of both worlds.
That is true too.
Or you have to wear a sign that says, "I don't know what a baby and a muffin are."
Right. I honestly, I don't know if I want to be a man. I'm just like,
Females are best.
I love being a woman.
We don't bleed all the time. We don't have to spend 2 hours getting ready.
That
we don't
is
have to
true.
get pregnant. It's the best.
That is true. But you know what? Like,
We don't have to
I feel
feel
like
things.
I feel like pregnancy is beautiful. I feel like the monthly process, we're cleansing our own body.
Yeah, but that's because you're a woman and you have all these hormones and things. If you're not a woman, you don't feel that stuff. You're just like, beer, mates. Let's go parachuting and blow stuff up.
I guess. Okay, tell everybody where they can find you, what new episodes you have coming up, everything that you have going on, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Look for me at Paul de Gelder. That is my handle on all of the platforms. I have between 5 and 7 shows coming up on Shark Week this year. Shark Week airs on July 7th. We've got John Cena as the overall MC. I'm going to be doing some crazy, amazing things, teaching people about sharks. I also have 4 books, Uncaged, and some others. I just finished my first kids book called Big Red Bruce, the kangaroo that loses his tail, trying to teach kids about amputations. It's a fun book. Yeah, just come by, visit, say hi.
And where can they find your books at?
The books are all on Amazon.
Got it. Make sure you guys tune into everything that Paul has going on. Check out his books and make sure you guys watch Shark Week. And that is it for Telli Talks.